girl. Hey, welcome to my channel. I hope you're doing well. And today I'm joined by two amazing women. I've got my mom, Terry, and Teresa here with me.
Hi.
And we're going to talk about the real struggle of being single. So let's just get right into it. So I'll start with you, Teresa. As we're all coming out of this quarantine, you've been one who's, single. You live alone. You don't have a spouse. You don't have any children. How have you been able to cope with just being single during the quarantine? It must have been a long 10 weeks.
If you must say, yes, it has been long 10 weeks. But I'm still here and I'm still single. It has not really been all that cherry on the ice cream or icing on the cake. Has been hard in this quarantine that we are in at this time. If there was ever a time that I really felt like I wanted to have somebody next to me to talk to, wake up and could turn and say, hey, what's up? How you feeling? Somebody to get up to cook dinner for, or...
You know I like to eat, so you can cook dinner for me.
Yes, anytime. It really has been on my mind. Not to say that I was like in any great depression or anything, but it had me thinking a lot about single and wanting to leave from singleness into marriage. So there were times when the feelings come and it's like, God, if you don't come right now, I'm going to be lost. Because at this moment, I'm really feeling that I need someone to talk to. And I know you can call on your friend. You can call. I have my sister. She's live in Brockton. I have my brother, my sister-in-law. But sometimes it's not about even calling a friend or calling a family. It's just having that person right next to you to talk to. So as I said, in this time that we're in, it has come and it has hit really close to home that, you know what, Lord, I think it's time. I believe I'm ready. No, I'm saying that and God is probably saying, hold up. But truly, I think that during this time, it really made me think more about stepping out of singleness into marriage. Not saying that I'm going there on my own, but just really having it in the forefront, the frontal lobe of my mind of wanting to be having somebody next to me.
Right. I hear that for sure. And then as you're saying that, I'm thinking about, okay, now here you are in a situation where you're at home and you're lonely, and then ding, you get a text message. Sis, how you handling that text message? Or ding, you get a phone call. How do we handle the phone calls? What do we do to stop us from sinning, basically? I mean, you're in this mode where it's like, I need somebody, right? And then so all of a sudden, is that a text message from Joe? I ain't talked to Joe in months. What do we do? How do we combat that? Anybody want to share?
Well, the number one thing I would say, remember why you're not dealing with Joe in the first place.
True.
Why are you no longer dealing with Joe? And let that guide your decision whether or not you answer that text. Okay?
True.
Yeah. Why did you get rid of Joe? Why is Joe in the curb?
I don't know. Maybe Sam came along.
Oh, well.
That's a
possibility. That's a whole other issue. Well, no, honestly, really and truly, think back when those memories come, those thoughts come, and then you get hit up by Joe. He hits you up. He slides in your DM.
Did my mother just say slide in your DM?
I did. In this case, let the bad memories, focus on those. The reason why you're not with him, the reason why you had to get rid of him, the heartbreak, or whatever it was that you experienced with this person, that caused you that caused the break.
Right.
And let that guide you. Also, remember who you are.
Yes, that's important. You hit that right there.
You're better than that. Let nobody just call you up at a little, as a last resort or as an afterthought. You're better than that.
Right.
And I feel like once we realize that, once we actually internalize that and get that in our hearts, then we won't allow just anybody just to come and try to play in the playground, so to speak.
True.
It's true.
And you guys are probably saying, easier said than done. Yeah, it's true. Easier said than done, but you're talking to professionals.
Oh my.
That may have got, what's the new word? DM. Truly, and actually I was talking to someone, someone gave me a call this week, if you want to call it a spiritual mom, and she was asking me how I am in my space, and I was telling her if we should get into the spiritual side because we want to help, especially our spiritual young woman and even man, if you're looking at it. And she's like, how is your space? And I was telling her, if it wasn't for God, my mind, the thoughts that I have would have turned me crazy. So as Terry was talking about the thoughts, you got to control your thoughts. You rule your thoughts. I work with kids in school, and I work with second grader, and sometimes they act up. I mean, their bodies are all over the place, and I will look at them and say, you rule your body. You can tell your body to stop. And some of them would say, no, I can't. I say, yes, you can. You have control, just like that with your minds. Yes, the thought is going to come. Once you already put it out there, that slow foot already heard it. And he is going to try he's going to talk into somebody's mind, into Joe mind, Sam mind, Paul mind, Katie, Mary, and Sue mind, and say, man, give them a call. Believe me, that's what he will do. And you will get that call because the thoughts are there already. And so you got to know how to control that thought. And you got to know to control that conversation. I'm not saying that you don't pick up the phone. It's up to you, right? God ain't mad with you for picking up the phone. It's what happens when you pick up the phone. So that is where your thoughts have to be controlled, because I have a friend that called me and I had to know what I want to talk about, right? I'm not talking about a girlfriend. I'm talking about a guy friend. I have to know what to talk about in that conversation, because right at this moment, I know how I'm feeling. And that person might even be feeling the same way that I'm feeling. So I'm like, okay, one of us have the power here to stop the conversation from going into certain places, So you have the power to control your mind. Don't ever think you cannot control your thoughts and your mind and your conversation.
Right. That's important. And it actually reminds me of one of the sisters in our church mantra. She's constantly saying, how you think and speak direct your feet. So how you think, if you're thinking about doing something you shouldn't be doing, your feet are going to follow. That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah, I was going to bring up something along those lines. I used to always tell my kids, not every thought that comes to your mind needs to come out your mouth. In the same way, not every thought that comes into your mind, not every feeling that comes into your flesh needs to be acted upon.
Right.
That power.
That's right. And also the word of God says that thou will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in you. So we have to keep our minds focused. When we find our minds going into that wrong lane, then we need to shift our focus. And it's hard, but the more you do it, it'll come as second nature, and you'll just be able to just rebuke those thoughts and move on.
And you know what? And it might have people that is looking at this that is not at that place where we are spiritually, and we're not putting you down. As a woman, as a man, think about your value. No, I value more than what you are letting into my mind.
Right.
I value more than what I'm letting out of my mind.
Right.
So you gotta think that you are valuable. You know, you may not have a scripture at that time, and that's okay, because it's not all the time we have scriptures. That's what we need to do. But you may not have a scripture, but you got to think about your value. Is this really worth it? Is it really going to help you in the long run? Is it healthy for you?
Right.
What is the end going to be? I mean, it's really left up to you to make that choice. Like, do I really want to talk to Sam? Do I really want to talk to Mary? And then, you know, Mary might start the conversation and you're like, oh, Mary, bye, I gotta go. See ya, Tom. I gotta go cook, do something. See ya, because it's not going to be, if it's not going to lead you into the right place, just cut it down.
Cut it down. That's
like a bad tree.
Cut it out. Cut it down. So true. And then, you know, what advice would you give, you know, brothers or sisters who are watching? Okay, so you're saying, all right, I'm in this mood and I'm having these sort of feelings right now, and I know that I have to get them under control, start thinking the right things, because I want to have I need to have a mind like Christ, right? But then for some reason I can't get them out. What are some things that you think that you can do, or some things that you may have done even in your own personal lives to sort of, okay, you know what, even trying to read my Bible is not working, or maybe even trying to pray at this moment isn't working? What are some things that you can do to sort of get your mind off of the feelings that you're having and get your mind on the right path?
Well, I would, well, for me, what I have come to know and realize, I say to myself, you are not your body parts. You're more than that. Don't ever let anything or anyone reduce you down to your body parts.
Right.
You're not your body parts.
Right.
And then a wise woman once told me years and years ago, flesh and blood is not going to heaven. Don't let it take you to hell. That stuff with me. That stuff with me.
That's a good one right there.
That's deep.
You know.
Say it again, because I for people in the back.
She told me, flesh and blood. You see this flesh? It's not going to heaven. Don't let it take you to hell.
Don't let it take. That's fire right there. That's deep.
What she told me.
And I say, get up.
That's
Get
true.
up
Right.
from where you're at. Now, if you turn on the TV and you find a good movie and you're cooking, right? You put some rice on the stove and you're looking at that movie, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, the rice is burning. What are you gonna do? Sit down? No. You gotta get up and get the rice off the stove, or you'll have a burnt house and a torched body, and nobody can't find you.
So true.
Right?
Right.
So if you have a torched body, you're gone.
Right.
So when you think about that feeling and that flesh starting to rise up inside of you, get up from where you're at. You could be laying down in the bed, sitting in the couch, standing on the toilet. It doesn't matter where you get up from there.
Get up.
Play a song. Call a friend. Not Tom, not Sue. Call a real friend. Okay?
Right.
Get it out of your mind. And I always hear this. And we're going to get right back into the spiritual again. And those for you who is not, guess what? There is an enemy. Don't tell him what you're thinking.
Right.
Because he's so dumb. He can't read your mind. But he can see your action.
That's right. That's very
He can see your action and he can hear you.
right.
Talk in your mind sometimes. Talk or pray in your mind and tell God. And if you're in praying, get up. Trick him.
Get up.
Don't let him trick you. You gotta find some strategies and how to. I'm telling you, they say your mind is the powerful thing to waste. It's so true. And I have learned in this pandemic, they call it, Pandemic. See, I can't even say the word. I have learned in this where your mind will play you for your money. But it is a choice for you to tell yourself, mine, I rule you. Right. You don't rule me. Right? And I heard, if I should make a personal example, they were talking about this with on Sister Danielle's show about the mind, and the young man who was on was saying that many times when they said, put your hands on your mind, we put it right here.
True.
And to tell you the truth, the guy was saying that the young man that was on the talk show with her was saying, your mind is not stationed one place. If you think about it, it's your whole body.
Wow.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Your whole body. The first thing we think about is the brain, right? Yes, and it's powerful. It is so powerful. But you have that power to rule your whole body. Your mind is everywhere. Right? Everywhere.
That's important.
So get up.
So get up. I've also heard other people mention, other people that I've talked to, another way also to sort of combat those sort of feelings, not only just to get up, but also if things are getting real, if you've got to anoint yourself, get yourself some oil and anoint what you've got to do and pray over yourself and listen, you got to cool down because your flesh, like you said, is about to take you into what could potentially take you down a path you do not need to go down. So that's another way too. Like I said, I've heard that from other people. And then, as we're in church, we all go to the same church. But those of you who go to other churches, this is a question I've also had, is how do you deal with, different emotions when you see people getting married? You see these kids that you, for example, Teresa was my youth leader, and how do you feel? I'm not married, but when the other people in my group, like, my sisters or whatever, they got married, like, how does that make you feel? You keep seeing all these people getting married, all these people getting engaged, and just like, Lord, I was waiting, what's going on? How do you deal with that?
Got a t-shirt.
You got a t-shirt.
Got a sweatshirt. If you want one, I give it to you.
I do.
I am not saying my age, but I'm older than her anyways. Yes, she was one of my youths, along with other, as she said, other sisters in there. And yeah, it was like, okay, God, what's going on? Right. Is there a tree in my face or something? And it's not that you're not getting these advanced to you, or our guys are not coming after you, and it's not that you're not praying or fasting or doing all those good things they said to do about getting a husband. It's not that you're not doing it, but I have learned, I really could say like Paul, I have learned, and it took time. It took patience. It took a lot of hurt and pain and tears. And I'm telling you, ask me about it some other time. It took a lot of that for me to get to a place in my life, in spite of me seeing my other young people, in spite of me seeing other people my age or age before me or after me. It took a lot for me to say, like Paul, I have learned, whatever state that I'm in, to just be content.
Right.
And one of the things that I have tell other young people, you got to know that marriage is something that God wants. Do He want all of us? Yes. To get married, that's a desire for our God. And He said He will give us a desire of our heart according to His will, right? And we have to delight ourselves in Him, right? He desires for us to be married because it's a kingdom thing, right? And the Bible talks about two is better than one. So you have to know. Now, not everybody is going to, but you have to know already for sure that God is going to give you that gift of marriage. If you are praying and praying and praying and praying and praying and fasting and praying and fasting, crying, and you don't know if marriage is a gift, maybe it's time to stop praying for a husband and ask God, God, is marriage a gift for me? And he'll let you know. He will let you know. God don't hide nothing from nobody. And one of the hardest things for me personally is knowing, and you're like, okay. And you think about Sarah. And you're like, God, am I the next Sarah? You know, you think about all these things, and you're like, and the enemy comes in. He's like, okay, God, maybe I did not hear right. Could you? This is things that I do. I'm not lying to you. These are things that I was like, okay, God, maybe the people who told me, they were just sorry for me. And believe you me, I go back to God, and I go back and I tell him his promises. I go back and say, God, do you remember? I've journaled. Keep journals, okay? Get a journal. Because you want to tell God, not to say he forget. You want to say, God, you remember this date? September 16, 1942. In my bed. That's just it. I'm putting out. I'm just throwing out a year, you know. You said this to me. And it was confirmed. Now it's September 16, 1996. God, how many years is that?
Mercy.
You know, you are going to have time like that. You are going to have time. And I'm going to tell you what take me through, and then I'm just going to turn it up because I know Terry has something to say about this too. What takes me through is developing a relationship with God. Because when you feel like, God, is this ever going to happen?
And you start to get discouraged.
And you start to get discouraged. You can turn to him and say, you know what, God? It's okay. I've got you. I'm not saying that it's always going to be like that. Because you heard to the beginning when I said, God, you need to do something in this time we're in. But there's going to be a time you say, God, I got you. And you are all that I need. I wouldn't even trade you for a man that I want. I wouldn't even trade you for that man that you have for me, because I got you, God, and you got me. So you have to develop that. If your relationship with God, and get one. If you don't have a relationship with God, get one. Because as far as I know a lot of married people, they need a relationship with God too. Even though you're married, you still need that. There is still that void that not a man can fill but Jesus himself. Mr. Terry.
Well, I would say with regard to the waiting, you know what? God has everything in his timing, and there's a time for everything. And I have learned through my period of waiting is you know, just to trust God, trust God. And a lot of people, you know, a lot of us singles, when time, you know, continues to roll on, and as you said, we see people that we taught in Sunday school, children that we knew since birth are now engaged or now married, and you're like, well, Lord, have you forgotten about me? But his timing is not our timing. We always sing the song, he's an on-time God.
Yes,
but do we believe it? Do we believe it while we're waiting for that ring? Do we believe it?
The song never comes up at that time.
Okay.
So true.
It's more like, nobody knows. We get, you know, down in the dumps. And, you know, we want to be down on it, but there is a reason. God, you might be in this waiting period, and God might be preparing brother whoever, brother X, over there, way over in Alaska. I always say,
I say the S.
I say mine is coming from New Zealand, and he's walking.
He's on ice.
And he's walking. No, he's walking. That's why it's taking him so long. That's why it's taking him so long to get it, because he's walking from New Zealand. But no, but honestly and truly, God has everything in His timing. We have to. I know it sounds cliche, but trust God in the process. Trust the process. He the Bible says He knows the thoughts that He thinks toward us. Thoughts of good and not of evil. To give us an expected end, a hope and a future. You know what I mean? So God, He knows what's best for us. He's not a deadbeat dad. He loves us. And He's going to only give us the best. So if it's going to take 5 years or 6 years or 10 years for Him to prepare the best and prepare us to be the best for Him, then hallelujah, thank you, Jesus.
Right.
You know, I don't mind waiting, Lord. You're going to give me the best. I don't mind waiting. It's tough, but
my dad, very wise man, always said, Teresa, not every goal you see is real. And not every grass that's green is really green. And he always said, underneath that green grass is a septic tank. You know what's a septic tank? Something stink. In other words, he said, you don't know how they got what they got. So if you know that God is going to give it to you, that is the best thing to do. Wait on Him. And he always said, be careful how fast you run, because you don't know if there's a hole around the corner to fall in. So just keep on walking, because you don't want to miss the hole and fall in there.
Right. It's all. I'm taking it in, ladies. I'm taking it in, ladies.
Personally, Sister Terry was just talking about the process, and if I could share a personal note with you. Back in September, I went into some fasting concerning husband-wise, and I can tell you this is not the first time, because the Lord have spoken to me years. If I could give you a specific year, 2016, it's now 2020.
That's why you got to keep that journal.
Look how long. I could show you the journal, and it was a confirmation by 1 or 2 witnesses too. So I know I ain't going crazy. But I'm saying that to say this, in September of 2019, I knew my life was going to change somehow, the way how it was going, but I didn't know it was going to be the way how it is today. And if anybody had told me, I would have said, nope, don't want to go through this process, don't want to go through it. But in September I was praying, and right now God is having me, I'm literally, you see me smiling, but God is taking me to a process. And I remember when He told me, it was September I started to pray, and I think it was in, forgive me if I'm wrong, it was around October, November. I remember the Lord told me, you're going through a process, and I want you to enjoy the process.
Wow.
Now the Lord said to enjoy the process, but He never told you that the process was going to be easy.
That's true.
No, He said enjoy it, but He never said it was going to be easy, because let me tell you something. Up to last night, I wanted to get out of the process, and I was like, God, no, take me out of this. I literally, and there are going to be times, you know, for those of you who are waiting, and you know, there are going to be times when you feel, God, when? I've been there up to last night. I looked God in the face, and I said, okay, God, you're anywhere here, but I'm looking up to heaven. When am I going to get out? I said, and I keep on telling her, I said, God, you said to enjoy. This doesn't feel enjoyable to my flesh, but that was my flesh. That was my flesh crying out. But he knows why he told me to enjoy the process, because I cannot see the end of it. But he already saw the end of it. That's why he's telling me to enjoy it. So I have to remind myself, Tracy, you can't see the end of it.
Right.
In spite of what you're going through, enjoy the process. If you're going through a process today, and you know God already told you, enjoy it. Enjoy the process. They're going to be tears. They're going to be crying. They're going to be want to give it up. They're going to be some doubt, some fear. These are not good. Doubts and fear, they're not good. But they are going to, because we're in the flesh. And God knows why he put it in the scripture. But just remember what he said to you. Whatever he said to you, and you know that he said it to you, just go through the process, because in the end, it's going to be worth the wait.
Right. Absolutely. That's good. And while the two of you were talking, I was thinking, okay, we talk about waiting and, waiting on the Lord, and then, having all these different feelings. I was thinking about, while you're waiting, you also need to examine yourself, because while you're going through your season of waiting, you need to make sure that who you are you someone who someone else would want to be married to, someone else would want to live with. Check your attitude, check yourself, because you need to be a good a good wife or a good husband, a good helpment, for your spouse. That's something too you want to check yourself.
That's great.
Some other things I also had a question about, as I am a single mom, and I've got 2 children. I guess I can direct this question to you, Mom. Do you feel like the men in the church run away from us because of the negative stigma attached to women who have kids?
Yes, I do.
Yes and no.
Yes, I know. Yes, definitely yes. And I'm saying yes because, hey, hi, that's my daughter. No ring.
Right.
Okay. So yes, I most definitely do believe that, and it's a shame, but I do feel like a lot of these brothers they're hooked on appearances. Well, what will people say? Well, what is it going to look like? This is a ready-made family, and so on and so forth. Right. And I can truly say, whoever those were that were for me, y'all missed out on a great wife.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your loss, brother.
But you know what?
Honestly and truly.
I must be biased. I've known people that have had children, and the man was single, and he married. I think it's the mind of the man, the maturity of the man. Yes, it could be even in the location that you're at. You could be in the church that you're at that probably doesn't have, mature man, or doesn't have enough man, maybe woman outweigh the amount of single women.
Most churches.
Well, but I really feel, personally, for me, this is just mine, Sister Terry had her say, and she feel like, yes, she thinks so. I really feel that if God is going, God knows that you have kids. You could have 5, you could have 6, you could have 2, you could have 1. God knows. And God will send that man for you, because he knows.
Right.
So I feel that if those who decided, well, no, I'm not man, they missed out. God will place it. I always hear this. God always have a plan B, a plan C, and a plan A. Just like how he could forgive us times and times again. Not to say we're always to do the same sin. He has a plan A and a plan B and a plan C and a plan D, because he desires. So he knows man will probably say that, or a woman may say that about that. Which a woman will more likely say okay to the man if he have a child, whereas a man is, I want my own child, or I want my child. For personally, for me, I don't mind. This is just my personal, I'm saying God is going to do it. I don't mind if the man that God sent for me have a child. What I mind is that the mom is still. That's just personally for me. What? Because I don't want a mama drama, right? But that's just personal for me. And again, I could be biased about that could be a biased thought too, right? Yeah, definitely. But that's just personally for me. Now, if it is that it happened like that, hey, I learn to deal with it. I have to learn to deal with it.
Right.
But if God decided, well, Teresa, this is the man I have for you, and he has a child, and the mom is still around, then what am I going to do? Say, God, no? No, I'm not going to do that. Wait this long? No.
Well, I mean, if the mom is still around and that man was truly sent from God, I'm sure you won't have any issues with the child's mom.
Well, that's the only way I'm going to take him anyway, that he's sent from God.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Well, for me, I don't mind if he has children, but how old is that child? Now, if that child's 2 months old, then we have a problem. That's a problem. It's 2 months
if God
old.
send,
2
if
months.
God send the man, we're not talking about the man decided to see you and said, "Hi, baby, I want to marry you."
Right? Because
we're talking about God sending that person. What are you gonna tell God? No.
I'm saying for me, I will be leery because that baby was just born. That means you were just with the mother. What's going on with that relationship?
Or maybe not. Baby's 2 months old. Maybe he was with the mom 9 months ago, and I don't know what happened. Something could happen. Maybe he recently got saved, and he was living a life before, and then now he's saved. I mean, there's so many.
If it is God, not me pick him, or he pick me, right?
What if the mother passed away?
Well, that's something different. That's something different. Now we're talking about the mother is still there and everything, but the baby's only 2 months old.
Maybe something's wrong with the mom, and she can't be a mom, and or maybe, like I said, maybe he wasn't saved. I guess I'm looking at it from that perspective.
God said
I
He's
have
not gonna give you more than you can bear. Anyway.
Yeah.
So if you can't bear it, He's not gonna give it to you. If you could, He's gonna give it to you. It may be that you feel away, but. And even though somebody said to me, like a couple months ago, about 2 months ago, God choose the man for you or the husband. I mean, the husband or the wife for you. You still have a choice whether to tell God yes or no.
It's true.
Just know if God sent him for use. Sometimes, do you know sometimes that you could be in a situation where there's two presented, but you have a choice. You got to see God's face. No, it could be, no, listen. I said, listen, do you know you're seeking God for a husband and seeking God for a wife? And say, for example, two women could be in your thought of saying, well, I love her and I love her. I'm not saying God is not the author of confusion.
Amen.
He's not. That's what I said. But sometimes they are, where men will say, well, I like her, I love her, I love her, I like her. And he's looking. Now that is where, I don't know how I get to this. That is where maybe there's somebody out there. Who knows? That is where now you seek the face of God, because you want to make sure you make the right choice. You gotta make sure that you just don't do it because Betty cooked for you, cleaned for you before, or you could call Betty and she could encourage you, or Sally or Sue, and I'm calling out names I'm probably looking at there, but it's not you, or Joe or Harry, because she looks beautiful and he looks happy. You got to seek God.
Okay, just for clarification,
sorry, I was gonna say something too.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I understand what you're saying. So you're saying that, okay? So you're not saying that God said, okay, I'm gonna use myself. Here's Joe and Tim. it's me saying, hey, Joe's kind of cute and Tim's kind of cute, but God only has Tim for me. So at that point, it's my decision to go. I need to go down in prayer and say, Lord, I like both of these men, but I want the one that you have for me. Okay, so you're not saying that God presents.
All right. So I'm glad we cleared that up. But also, I'm glad we cleared that up because
God is not the confusion. No, I'm just saying sometimes.
Right, but if there are two, man or woman respectively, that you are interested in, make sure you're not playing with them while you're making your choice. Don't be over here playing with Bobby one day and then you're playing with Joey the next day. No, don't do that. Don't do that. That's not right. You sit yourself. Get somewhere alone with God and seek the faith of God and find what His perfect will is. Not the permissive, but the perfect will of God.
Oh, that's another thing.
Don't be playing with people's feelings.
Perfect and permissive.
Don't be playing with people's feelings while you're in that situation.
So we'll put that in the next video.
There's a difference between permissive and perfect.
Right.
You don't want the permissive will of God, although it has a name God in there.
Right.
You want the perfect.
Right. So there were a couple.
I call it the sorry will.
All right. So we're not gonna talk about the sorry will right now because we'll be going on and on and on. But my last question is, I just wanted to touch this last question because I feel like this is something that probably has happened to quite a few people. So how would you handle, I think one of you, if not both of you, touched on this. How do you handle a situation where, God has told you Joe is your husband and God told Joe Susie is your wife, but then Joe's like, nah, I'm good, I don't want to marry Susie, and he decides to marry Sarah? How do you deal with that? How do you handle it? What do you do? Because now here you are looking at Joe and Sarah, and they're happy and they're having babies, and then here you are, Sue. I forgot which name I used, but here you are, Sue. And you're just like sitting here lonely, like, Lord, it's been 10 years, and Joe, look over there, he's all happy and he's got his babies and all that stuff. How do you deal with that? Because that's got to be pretty painful and tough to deal with when you know that you know that you know.
Well.
But then,
you think he's happy. Not
happy.
Everything that glitters is gold. And you don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
That grass.
Okay? Honestly, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know how it is in the house when Joe and Sarah go in and close their door.
True.
They might be sleeping in separate bedrooms. They might, you understand what I'm saying?
Talk about it.
They might not even be sleeping together.
It's true.
They might not even be living together. Again, you don't know what is happening behind the scenes. When we're out of the will of God,
it's trouble in paradise.
My God, we're free targets for the enemy. That's an open door for the enemy to come in and wreak havoc. So, just don't be fooled.
I can say personally for me, that happened to me. Yes, it did. And the rest is history.
No, girl, we wait.
I can't, because you know what? All I can say, it happened to me.
Yeah.
And if I talk about it, then you know what? Who knows? That person might be looking, and you gotta be careful.
Well, he already knows.
With when you're using things like this. But I just want you to know, as Nikita was saying, that how do you handle it?
How do you heal from it? Yeah.
How do you heal from it? And it's not a process. It's a process of healing. It doesn't fade away overnight. And I show there is young ladies that have went through this. And I'm not talking about because you like him or you love him. And you really thought it was him because he was speaking in tongues and you said, yep, I knew what he just said. No. I'm talking about it was the perfect. That's what I'm talking about. Choices too. You see, when I said choice, remember we said choice? Yes. To present to them. True was presented. But they had to seek God what is the perfect will of God. And you know what? It took counsel. Not saying that I went to a therapist, and I'm not telling nobody it's wrong too, but people who was in my life that I could have called, and they would pray with me and call in and say how you're doing, and just encourage me and know that in spite of it, you have to have a circle. If it's 2 people or 3 people that you could call and confide in. The enemy don't want us to have that, right? I'm not saying they could be your best friend. I'm just saying that somebody you could call and you know they're not going to judge you, right? And you call and you can tell them what happened, and they may know what happened. And it took a lot. It took a lot. And thank God the person did not live in where I was living in Boston. So that helped a lot, you know, and it was a couple of years ago, so we never really had like Facebook. I don't even know when Facebook came out. We did, and I just didn't know about it. And we didn't have a lot of social media things, so it's like I didn't have to go on the social media and see the picture and you know, and things like that. But as I tell you a couple questions ago, having that relationship with God
very important
helps a lot. That's the void that only God can fill. That's the void that only God can fill. And if I can tell you guys anything here, forget everything Sister Tresca said, but remember this one thing: develop a relationship with God and learn to tell God don't want to get that personal on here,
but just be brutally honest.
Brutally honest.
Yeah.
You know those feelings? You know them just before, you know, woman, just before your friend Mary, Sally Sue come. It could be in the moment. It could be before. It could be, you know, those moments. Take it to the Lord.
Take it to the Lord.
Tell Him everything, and develop that relationship with Him. That's what I want to say. Develop a relationship.
So if you take nothing else away from Teresa's words, build a relationship with God. That is most important. Most important thing. Build a relationship. Mom, you want to share anything?
No, I just want to reiterate. Know who you are. Know who you are.
Hallelujah.
Know the God that you serve, right, as well.
Absolutely.
He's not a respecter of persons. He's not going to bless Billy with a wife and not bless you with a wife, or brothers with a wife and sisters with a husband.
Right.
He's not going to do that. He's not a God that he's not a man that he will lie. And if he's promised, he's going to do it. His promises are in him, yes, and in him, amen. All right. So I can just say, and also in those moments of weakness, really think and say, "Oh, is it worth it?" Like we said, for every action there's a reaction. How do you feel 10 minutes later? How are you gonna feel? You know, once the deed is done. The Bible says we crucify the Lord afresh every time we sin. Think about that. Now that's a great deterrent for me.
Yeah.
You crucify the Lord afresh. So every
my God.
Yeah.
Hurt. You're hurting him.
Yes, you're hurting him.
The hammer.
Yeah. You're hurting him.
The whip.
The lashes.
Right.
The thorns
piercing.
in his head.
My God.
The nails through his hands and feet.
Is it worth it?
No way.
It's definitely not worth it. It's definitely not worth it.
When you build that relationship, you're going to think about that.
Right.
No way.
Right. So we're taking away, build a relationship with Jesus and know who you are and whose you are.
Amen.
That's important.
That's it.
Ladies, this has been great. Thank you so much for joining me.
This is
pleasure.
Absolutely. It's been very interesting, and there's a whole bunch of little nuggets in this conversation that I'm hoping that people can apply to themselves. I know there's things that I'm going to be like, you know what? Let me apply that to my life. So thank you again. I really do appreciate it. It was great. And if there's anything that we haven't talked about or something you would like us to touch on, just comment down below or send me an email at nowwithnikita, and maybe we'll do a part 2 live. You think we can get to do a part 2 live? Maybe, possibly. That would be great. So until next time, God bless.